right? The 14th of January already. How is that possible? But that's just the way it is, right?
Okay.
So today we're going to talk about kind of adds on from last week a little bit. We talked about a supplement that we're taking now to help us get some, excuse me, better sleep. Of course, we start recording this.
Glycine. It's something that, that our body naturally, it's not even considered an essential amino acid, but a lot of literature is suggesting that it probably should be at least a semi-essential. That our body makes it, so it's not essential. So we're actually and we just don't make enough of it for it to be optimal. Remember, we're talking about optimal health, not bare minimum.
Yeah,
surviving.
exactly. And as masters runners, that's why we do these each week, to give you guys information that we research, right?
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to go into one about some, again, we're trying to eat healthier so we can lower our chances for injury, try to have optimal health. And we're sharing with you guys what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I shockingly, with some rabbit hole stuff, she went down on some things that there are some healthy foods
I knew about, and things change, and narratives about a lot of this kind of I kind of accepted because it was kind of a general thing. But now more and more research and looking at it, I'm looking at it in a different way. We always have to be open to the fact that science is always changing. That's the nature of it.
Stuff.
I don't know why it's deemed like this is cut in stone. That's not what science is about. Science is about finding things, trying to prove it right or wrong, and this is just one of the things that I had been on my radar a while ago, and I kind of dismissed it. And now I'm realizing that, hey, there might be something more to it. So.
Right. And now as there's some stuff as we've been thinking about this, as we'll get into today, it's actually now it makes sense why we were noticing some things when we would eat certain healthy foods and we would see a little bit of an effect. So today we're going to talk about, again, healthy foods that might be making you sick, right? And we don't want that, but that's the title we're coming up with today. But yeah, we're going to get into this a little bit. As we say each week, this is not medical advice. Please do your own research. We're sharing with you guys stuff that we research, that we do ourselves. It works for us, so we're sharing with you guys, but do your own research.
And always consult your doctor with it.
Yeah, always consult your doctor because, as Patty just mentioned, science is always changing and evolving, and I am blessed with the power to create change. If we learn it and then we implement this stuff in our lives, it can create a positive change or something that you have to research and work with your doctor on. So that is, we always say this. And then again, last week, real quick, we talked about glycine, the benefits of that. I had the supplement here a minute ago. I don't know what happened to it. But anyway, yeah, it's something that we're working right now. Actually, yeah, here it is. I'm not on screen right now. But it's one of these things. We get the Now brand, just adding more to it because it's an abundant protein in our body. And one of the biggest things that we've learned, especially me, is I've just been sleeping so much better now that we're adding this.
It is one of those things that really, shortly taking it, I don't believe these claims, a lot of things, but when you see it and, he experienced it, I experienced deeper sleep. So we know sleep is recovery, sleep is everything. So, hey, it's a very inexpensive supplement. Like I said, do the research, choose what you want, but it has helped us. So
yeah, and again, just real quick recapping, it can improve your addictive behaviors or your OCD. I've got that OCD at least. Improve your immunity
because it calms your brain.
Calms your brain down, right? So our body produces it. We get some from food, but it's just not enough. That's why. And there's some studies that recommend 10 to 60, which is why we're now supplementing it. And it's working for us. So you guys do your research. But that was last week. And again, it ties into this week, which is ironic because today we're going to talk about a list of foods that are probably going to shock you. It did us as we dug into this. And see a little image there on some other things that we were eating a lot of. And now we're not. So what are oxalates?
And you probably have heard of this. Maybe you have not heard of this, but this is just a naturally occurring oxalic acid is in plants. We know plants are living things that have defense mechanisms. They can't move. Every animal that wants to stay alive, every living organism has a way to defend it, has to have a way to defend itself. Plants, unfortunately, have a natural occurring chemicals that they use to ward off being eaten, to survive. that's why a lot of plants, most plants you can't eat, would not want to eat, and there's quite a few that would actually kill you because of these defense mechanisms. Oxalates are their defense mechanisms against bugs, being ravished, all these things. We are actually ingesting them, so we are ingesting their natural, defense mechanisms.
Right.
So sometimes this is okay, sometimes it's not. We're finding, like I said, this is kind of around. They've been doing research about this, in the 1930s. It came back in like the 1980s, and it was kind of dismissed. Like, these things are so nutrient dense that it outweighs this. And I was kind of like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But now it's becoming more in the forefront because there are so many things. So many people with tissue like arthritis, autoimmune, so many different things that are coming up, and we kind of know what's changed: our food and our environment. So you start to look at things. And I've been doing a lot of research on this again and seeing that, maybe there is something to this, and it kind of makes sense. Your body, what it does in your body is, and I didn't before, I kind of like I said, I just dismissed what I, read a couple things. I was like, okay, that sounds better. Versus really diving into it when I did, it basically just robs your body is actually a toxin to your body.
Which can cause problems if you get too much of it, like anything. If just too much is not a good thing, right?
Yeah. And there's some people that believe none is a good thing, but lowering it, mitigating it is definitely where we're at right now, and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's gets in your body and it grabs minerals. So basically, and calcium's a big one that it grabs.
Right, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, but really what it comes down to is if it's a toxin our bodies have to eliminate, right? That's really at the highest level. And it comes from the Greek word sour, which again goes back to plants being a defense mechanism for them. So it's something we're ingesting, which we think is healthy, which is there's benefits to it, but too much of it's not good. And so our bodies have to eliminate it.
Yeah, there's the benefits from the foods that we're eating, not realizing that this is part of the food that we're eating. So,
yeah, exactly. And so one of the issues is it can increase your risk for kidney stones, which is a big deal.
Yeah, if you've had kidney stones and you're probably aware of this, they probably have you on a low oxalate diet, because they know the most kidney stones, 80 or 90% of them, are calcium oxalate. So coming from calcium binding to oxalic acid. So it's forming these, and it's forming these little crystals. These little crystals get filtered out. If they don't get filtered out, some of them get big enough to form kidney stones. And I've never had one, thankfully, but I know people that have had them, and they're pretty horrific, pretty painful, and something you absolutely want to avoid. Now, I've never had one, but
I'm sure some of you guys on our group have had that.
Yeah,
you know what that is.
But doing the research of the potential of it's just stealing calcium from my, if I'm not ingesting enough calcium, if I'm not taking enough calcium, I don't drink milk. I do eat dairy products, but you really have to optimize. You could be getting if you're getting enough calcium that you need, especially as older women. That's a huge thing for us. But not realizing half the food I'm eating is stealing half of that calcium that I am taking in. So that's when I started to realize that, wait a minute, it can lower key minerals that we need for our bone health, for our immunity, for everything. And that's when I decided to look into this more and really kind of just start making some changes.
Yeah, exactly. So again, as Patty just mentioned, it's going to lower the mineral absorption that we need. It's going to affect your bone health, which is the calcium, right? And as runners, we need that, especially as we're masters runners.
And just in general.
In general, correct.
Now they're finding that it's not just about the minerals. These crystals that it likes to form, your kidneys are trying to, eliminate that. Any excess of that is going into tissues, and it can affect your gut, leaky gut. A lot of people have GI issues. That has been a huge thing. And it's like, is it the wheat? Is it the chemicals? Is it the sugar? Is it there's a lot of things that can affect it. This is another big thing that can actually affect it. So if you're eating healthy and you're doing everything right and you're like, man, I'm still having all these GI issues, this might be something to look at.
Yeah, exactly. This is why you just got to pay attention to your body, because your body's going to give you signals,
Mm-hmm.
right? All the time.
Yep. So basically it like I said, it's binding to these minerals. It likes to bind to calcium. It's one of the biggest ones, but also magnesium, and iron. We need, iron for our blood. The amount of blood you have, red blood cells, all those things is what's delivering oxygen, which oxygen is delivering our energy. These are all things. We know magnesium is a huge thing for muscle cramps, for muscle function, all of this. And like I said, zinc for our immunity, calcium for our bones. All these things are everybody needs, but runners especially, because we are demanding a lot more for our bodies. So we really have to be up on our vitamin and our mineral status. And we could be eating healthy foods that are literally robbing that from us. So that's, like I said, that's the rabbit hole I've been going down. And it's just made me just a lot more aware.
Yeah, exactly. So all we're trying to do is we are now aware. We're making some different choices, some slight modifications, as we say all the time. If most people,
it's not that big of
it's not that big a deal. If you just made some slight changes to your current diet and what your daily consumption is, you would be shocked at the outcome and how much better you're going to feel and how much better you're going to sleep, which is going to relate to your ability to run and stay injury free, which is why all this stuff ties together. It really does. Yeah. It's really fascinating when you think about it. So
we know, kidney stones were probably the main thing. If it's on your radar, that it would probably be for that. But these little crystals, they can get into connective tissues all throughout your body. So that can be your joints, your muscles, can affect so many different things.
And everybody's going to be different, right? Now, here's the one thing that I noticed, as we told you guys before, we were taking, we still are, but we made a slight modification. We were doing a avocado, spinach, and blueberry shake with protein, right? And I noticed every time I had one of those things, I would get really tired to the point where I almost needed to lay down and take a nap. And I was like, what? I never took that next step until she started doing this research. We eliminated the spinach from that shake. We're still getting the avocado, the berries, and the protein.
And spinach is like one of the highest,
literally, oxalates, right?
And it's deemed as like kind of a superfood.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought it was, but
now we're going, well, wait a second. How does it affecting you? Now, maybe it doesn't affect you. It's going to be different for each of us, but it was affecting me to the fact that I was having trouble staying awake in the middle of the day. I'm like, this is not working. So eliminating it changed how that is just fascinating to me.
Like you expect that from eating like a high carb, simple sugar type, a box of donuts. Yeah, you're going to feel like you're going to be in a coma, but eating a protein shake, it's like, no, that should not do it. But like I said, not putting two and two together, a lot of times you don't. You're just like, oh, that kind of sucks, but I'm not going to do anything past that because it didn't make sense. None of it made sense. Reading this and looking at that, I'm like, that could have been.
Right. So basically we just reduced it. That's all. It was just I was getting too much too soon, which just goes back to everything, right?
Yeah. So simple thing to take out.
Yeah, exactly. So again, a high oxalate diet, if you're doing this, consuming this a lot, you can have a lot of headaches.
It can affect your vision. If you are getting like that gunk in your eyes when you wake up, that is part of it too. It can even, if you have really bad night vision, you're okay during the day. There's some things that are leading that this could be a reason for that. So, and then we know if your kidneys have to excrete this. So your kidneys are the thing that is detoxing you from this toxin. But too much of it can cause burning when you urinate.
Yeah.
And that connective tissue, that's all throughout our body. Those are tendons and that tendinitis. Runners all know about tendinitis. That's something that's Achilles tendinitis is a huge thing. This could be something that could be, we're not saying causing, but definitely
make it worse,
exacerbated. So we want to eliminate anything that could potentially, that is not helping us, take those things away. We are already pounding our bodies. We are already doing all these things. We're asking it to do this. So it's like, we need to give it the best things to be able to safely do this. So.
Yeah. And then it leads to, again, if you're fatigued, you're not thinking clearly, you got a headache, you're going to have poor concentration. So
yeah, it can actually affect the brain too. So.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, here are the foods that contain high oxalate. Spinach is like one of the worst ones.
Yeah.
It's so sad when we found this out. What?
Almonds. And I used to love almonds. Now I stopped eating almonds a while ago because I could never control myself around almonds. But now I'm happy that I did it a while ago, because not only do they take an exorbitant amount of water for them, it's to produce them, but now they're one of the highest oxalates. So I am happy that I gave them up before for a different reason, but it helped with this.
Yeah, and go back to the shake that we were telling you guys earlier that we made. We made a slight modification. We were using unsweetened almond milk. We've substituted that, again, a substitution for coconut milk.
You get that just as easy as you can get almond milk.
Right. So we took the spinach out and replaced the almond milk with coconut milk. And you're still getting the protein and all the other nutrients that we need. And shockingly, I don't feel fatigued after drinking one of those now.
Yeah. And like I said, it's a lot of things. I mean, legumes, beans, and all that stuff. People really, it's very high oxalate. If you're having some of these issues and having some of these things, it might be something to change it.
Experiment. Yeah.
Yeah. Change them for, unfortunately, it's chickpeas and black-eyed peas. And those have never been my favorites. But, if you're still wanting to get the fiber, wanting to get the benefits of eating beans, then switch to those instead.
Yeah. And carrots and celery, again, shockingly.
I mean, a lot of, what do they tell you? Cut up celery, have that for your vegetables to eat with your low calorie dips and all that stuff. I was never a big carrot fan or a celery fan, so that was one thing that I was not eating. But I know a lot of people who are, so I've kind of mentioned that. But this is the thing that really, really got me. These are 3 of the spices that I regularly use. My brother-in-law, who likes to cook loads, he doesn't measure anything, but he goes heavy on all of this stuff. And I'm like, wow. Okay. So I was like, that kind of shocked me. So black pepper, now I use white pepper. Still has pepper in it. Still has the same, I don't really notice a different taste. Turmeric, if you can get turmeric, the extract, I haven't really found that in a spice, but we were taking turmeric actually as a supplement. When they extract the turmeric or extract the curcumin, is really the beneficial part of the root that you want. That eliminates the oxalates from it. But turmeric itself has a lot. So if you can get the extracted form, you can get that in a supplement. Make sure it's third-party tested, because those are really, there's a varying degree of, it doesn't have as much as what it says. It has contaminants. Like I said, go to consumer labs, go to those things where they check out these, they test these things. This is one of the supplements that if you do take it, it's tested a lot, because it's really, really popular. I haven't figured out how to substitute that in my cooking yet, because like I said, I've just been recently going down this rabbit hole again. So
we'll update you.
I will let you know.
Right.
But and cumin's in everything. So we're on the other slides, we have something that kind of combats this stuff a little bit if you are still consuming some of these things.
Yeah. So again, there's just some substitutions, or just to lower it and moderate it, something for you to consider and research, right?
Exactly. But blackberries and raspberries, high.
Yeah. Chocolate. Oh my God. Chocolate, we're told, chocolate can be good. Well, again, too much is always a bad thing.
Now, we had given that up before, like I said, when we, changed how we were eating, but dark chocolate, they tell you, copper is a thing that a lot of people are short on, and dark chocolate has a lot, and cashews. So at one point, I was having a square of you get the really, really dark chocolate, because that way you won't want to eat the whole bar of it, because only a small amount of it is palatable, and cashews. But oxalate amount that is in those two foods, I'm like, it's not worth that little bit of copper that I'm getting. I will find it from somewhere else to get that. So things that I had were going to add back into my diet that I thought would get me nutrients would actually be counteracted by this. So we just want these things to be on your radar. If you're using these things for the nutrient values of what they have, know that this is part of it. So
yeah, and obviously processed foods, highly processed foods, are bad across the board, right?
Anyways, but
So
grains, wheats, and all that stuff have a lot of
yeah, so things like
oxalates.
breakfast cereals, if you're still eating breakfast cereals, I'll let you
Should
make
not.
that decision. Okay, that
But
being said,
that's a personal thing. But
yeah,
you know,
obviously
it
soda is
is.
bad, and then white bread as well is high oxalates, which is interesting. Okay, so how to fix this, right? I say this all the time. Obviously, we're going to talk some specifics about food here in a second, but you just got to drink more water. Drink more water solves so many problems. It's amazing.
Now they do say if you go, the first thing is stop eating the poison, basically. But doing that all at once, they say it's better to slowly do that because you could have kind of an overload of your body getting rid of that. It's kind of the mechanisms I won't explain, but doing it slowly, they said, is better. If you're getting a lot of cloudy urine, that's actually a good thing because that is your kidneys eliminating this. But if it's having to eliminate too much at once, you could feel like nauseous and all of that. So slowly, it's easier to implement things slowly anyways.
Right.
So taking simple substitutions and doing that. But if you had a really high oxalate diet that you were eating slowly, one by one, give your body a week maybe.
And just moderate it. That's all. Yeah, just moderate it. And obviously, we talked about how your body is being depleted of its mineral status. Obviously, you want to optimize that, like your calcium. Yeah. And if you need
so now I am taking calcium citrate. Because the citrate, this form of calcium actually counteracts and doesn't bind to.
It's the one that Patty's taking here. We'll put links below the video here in case you guys want that.
These are ones that are third-party tested. I've gone to. My magnesium, I was taking that anyways. I take magnesium citrate. Like I said, that's a way to counteract it. We all need potassium. So potassium is something that supplement-wise, they can only put 99 milligrams in. You need like 4,700 milligrams of potassium. So I do not fear taking multiple ones of these a day if I'm having things like if I was cooking with cumin and turmeric, and if I had one of those meals that I was making or whatever, I would take more of these. Yeah, so it kind of counteracts. Like I said, it keeps the oxalates from binding to, because that's what they want to do. They want to bind to minerals. So if you have an abundance, if you're not short on it, if you are short on it, it's going to grab those minerals from your bones, and that's what we don't want.
Right. And then obviously Patty just mentioned adding citrates and also some lemon would help. And then avoid a lot of vitamin C. I mean, I know this time of year, people are saying to do vitamin C to improve your immunity, but too much is not good.
Yeah, it's definitely.
There's other ways to increase your immunity.
Yeah. But I didn't realize, because there's a lot of people going around saying, that are proponents of like IV vitamin C or taking high doses of vitamin C therapeutically. And now it's really like this is definitely one of the things that you need to be getting the recommended daily allowance. I don't go over that anymore. And that is something I've changed because of the research I had done before kind of supported that. Now it does not. And now the more research I do, like I said, you always have to be learning. You always have to be questioning. You always have to be things change. That is definitely something that I don't supplement with vitamin C anymore because I found I get all of it from my food.
Yep, exactly. So here are some alternatives that you can do. So rest assured there are options.
So instead of spinach salads or whatever, romaine, arugula, that's what I switch. Those are the two lettuces I lose. Lettuce, much better. Bok choy I've used it. It's not the easiest thing to cook with, but if you like it, it's a good one.
avocado, the superfood, which is why we still have our avocado shake, because it is so good for you. And that is one with low oxalates, which is really good. And it's so good for you.
I've been substituting potatoes for cauliflower for a very long time.
Yeah.
Before, without oxalates being the thing, it's just because potatoes are starch, and I was getting rid of those. So cauliflower, instead of your potatoes, your sweet potatoes and all of that, cauliflower, you can make rice, you can make mashed potatoes, you can do anything with cauliflower. So nuts, there's a lot of good things with nuts, but seeds, much better, that have all really nutrient dense. Honestly, I've never been a seed person. I've never really eaten them on a regular basis, but I just ordered some Go Raw sprouted seeds. They've not come yet, but they're pumpkin, sunflower, and watermelon. I've been reading a lot about watermelon seeds have some things I never really knew that was even a thing, but had a lot of health values. So if you're doing chia seeds and sesame seeds, switch them for these.
Yeah, exactly. And then broccoli, as we know, is also healthy. We always do our broccoli. We have broccoli numerous times during the week.
Yeah,
and
broccoli, zucchini, the squashes are all pretty good.
Right, exactly. So, and then the blueberries, as we just mentioned, our favorite shake that we do is an avocado blueberry shake. Really, is what it comes down to, with coconut milk. So we substituted that out.
And protein powder.
Because we want to try to get as much protein as possible. And obviously, chive, cilantro, and white pepper, those are just substitutions, as we just mentioned.
Yeah, white pepper, I really notice the difference between black pepper. Cilantro, if you love cilantro, knock yourself out. Garlic is fine. Onions are fine. Mushrooms are fine. All the things most of the things that we're eating were fine. Green beans, like I said, low oxalate.
And then lastly, as we always talk about, which is the benefits of meat. We choose to eat meats. Okay, so we know we have some vegetarians here, but again, you got to be careful of this. If you're noticing these things, that's why you got to do your own research to make decisions with your doctor for you. And obviously, eggs and dairy are actually okay with lowering this. So these minor changes, again, guys, will lead to some big results. If you guys are looking for some help just to get started, you're just kind of overwhelmed, you're confused, you can still go. It's overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff that's changing all the time. Yeah. We can give you some guides to help get you started. You can work with your doctor, but you just go to runtips.us/call. That is runtips.us/call. I've got it running on the bottom of the screen. I have this new feature with my lovely software here. But if you do that, we can get you guys up and running and just get you started. And you can, again, we always recommend, it is shocking if you just make some minor changes, you will be floored with how better you will feel. And again, well, the point of this whole stuff is we want to eat healthier for our runners. As we get older, we're all masters runners, so we can keep running and stay injury free. And all these little things can help achieve that optimal health.
It's about optimizing. We do not want to survive. We want to thrive.
We want to thrive. Yep, exactly.
And, these are just some of the ways that we're doing it, feeling better, like I said.
And it works for us. So again, I've said this before, we're both in our 50s, guys, and we're our high school weight. We'll never, this is so fascinating to us because we feel better. I mean, everybody wants to feel better.
And you should feel good.
You should feel good.
That's the thing, the food you're eating. And this is one of the things, like if you're doing everything right and you're exercising, you're doing all this, but you're still tired or you're still having these aches and pains and you don't know why, your body is giving you things. Listen to it. Unfortunately, you go to your doctor, they run some tests, and you could be like, there's nothing wrong with you. That's the worst thing, that when you know something's wrong with you and not having it validated by tests. But this is something that worth investigating, worth trying out, making some substitutions and seeing if you feel better.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, a little bit longer today, but this was good stuff. Again, she's gone down a rabbit hole, which she loves to do, and we like to share this with you guys, and hopefully it lets you make some better decisions. Consult your doctor, but think for yourself, as we say all the time. Exactly. You got to think for yourself. It's best for you. Think for yourself while you still can. So anyway, with that, we're going to end it for today. And you guys have a great weekend, and we will chat